Here's my story. My name's Rich. I grew up in Atlantic City. It stunk. My mom let me play a lot of video games because she didn't want me to go outside because it sucked out there. I went to college to be a doctor, and then in the middle of college, I ended up homeless. It's a long story. When I got back into school, I said, you know what? I would really like to get more involved with video games again. So I started studying computer science, creative writing. It was a whole thing when I actually got back into school. I learned a lot about making games, and I thought that was what I was gonna do. I was working for a place called Instacart, and I would shop for groceries, and it was going really well. I actually loved working for Instacart because I was working for Instacart when it first came out. The whole thing with Instacart when it first came out was they gamified the entire system. Like, they gamified the entire thing. So you basically were shopping for people's groceries, but it was just like this cool, chill game. I figured out how to play the game. Instacart, when it first came out, everybody was making bank. Dude, I was making super bank. Yeah, I was making like $40 an hour, $41 an hour. Like, it was wild. Like, imagine I went from homeless to making that much money an hour. I was over the moon. I loved it. So I was like, you know what? I'm about to get my master's at NYU, was my plan for game design. I was gonna get my master's in fine art and game design. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna rush it. I'm just gonna keep farming these buku bucks. Eventually they changed it. And I was like, okay, I should probably get a job. All of a sudden I went from making like 41 to like $8 an hour, which made sense. But the thing that was awesome when I was making like $41 an hour, I would actually have a 1 hour period where I would sit in Barnes & Noble and I would get to read, and I taught myself how to code better during an hour of every single work day. And on top of that, I also got through the day by watching a lot of streams and listening to audiobooks and listening to podcasts. That content made me so happy. You code C++. C++ is one of the languages I studied the most. But I was like, damn, I should probably get a different job. I'd saved up a lot of money. I was like, man, should I get another job where I'm focused on making money? Or should I do something that's gonna like build my resume? And I was like, man, I think I actually wanna do something that builds my resume. I have enough money saved up to live here for the summer. Maybe I'll just focus on that. And yo, what's up, Slade? So basically, I was working on a video game that was called Bocce, actually. It was like a little mobile game that I was working on with my buddy Will. I was like, I'm just gonna work on this game. And I bumped into my buddy Ethan on the street. Ethan was in a few of my game design classes, and he basically was the first person I ever streamed to. Because we were in this class together, this philosophy class, and I used to play Warlords of Draenor on my laptop, and he sat behind me, and I would turn around and I'd be like, and he would just watch me play WoD all class. Ethan bumps into me on the street and he goes, dude, you love games. I'm working at MLG. You should come get a job at MLG. And I was like, dude, I don't know any of that shit. I was like, I watch MLG. I was like, I watch it, but like, I don't know how to do any of that shit. I don't know how to make a video. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do, I don't know. Like, I don't know. What would I do? He goes, dude, just come in. I go in and my buddy Will, who wasn't my buddy at the time, we kind of knew each other. Will is doing the interview and I'm wearing a suit and everything. I'm all nervous. And Will goes, didn't I play StarCraft against you one time? And I was like, yeah, you did. We played against each other at the game center. He goes, you got the job. That was how video games used to work back then. It's like, did you play me in StarCraft one time? I was like, yeah, I played Archon Flush, dude. How you doing? I got the job. And he goes, one thing, never wear a suit again. I ended up becoming a caster and I had to wear a suit every single fucking day. But now all of a sudden I have a job and I am in love with it. And I would stay at the office. I literally ended up, like, the girl who I was dating, we ended up breaking up because I literally didn't come home. I stayed at the office all day and I would just teach myself new stuff and basically she tried to make me pick work. I loved it. I loved every single fucking thing about it. I would teach myself all the equipment. I loved everything the casters were doing, and all of a sudden I wanted to be a caster. I would make videos for Rocket League. I would make top fives for Rocket League, even if there was no chance of them being made, just on the off chance that maybe it would make it there. And at the time, the casters were Puckett and Benson. Man, I was just so into it. I was so into it. And I was working on Rocket League at the time. I slept in the office. Like, I would literally cast over VOD. I remember I think I made $130 a day. I was like, holy shit, this is sick. And I would just sleep there. I would literally sleep at the office make these videos, do all this. I just fell in love with it. About a week or two in, after I'd been practicing nonstop, Chris Puckett, who I'd been basically, I was a technical director, so I was switching. Chris Puckett walks into the room. I'll never forget this day, and he goes, "Does anybody know any local New York talent? I'm getting married, and I need somebody to fill in for me to cast the Rocket League Grand Finals." I go, "Chris, can I try?" And he says, "Yeah." I had never casted before, and I casted the Grand Finals to the Rocket League tournament at MLG. Like, a lot of people watching. And I was nervous, man. Not like nervous, but like, I didn't want to be disrespectful to like Benson. And Benson was just popping off. And Benson, at one point, took off his headset and walked out of the room. And I was just all alone. My first time casting. I'm all alone, it's only me. And I popped the fuck off. Ever since then, I was a caster. Got a VOD? Yeah, but watching it now is cringe, right? I've been a caster for 6 years. And I actually very much, I will say this to anyone, I believe I'm one of the best hosts. I don't think that there are many people who host the way that I do. I wanted work really bad though, and it was hard to find work. So I was making a lot of work for myself, and that was when I made the Dungeons and Dragons show. There wasn't enough work, and I say this all the time for anybody who's ever like, yo, I want to get into streaming, or I want to get into this, or I want to get into that. I always say just make your own shit, because if you make your own shit, you at least have something. Now, I had an advantage. Like, I'll be kind of honest. Like, my friends already had a following, and that made this show kind of pop off, and this was how the stream started. So, like, wasn't thinking about that at the time, but, like, that definitely helped this stream a lot. But we basically made a D&D campaign that,
show created by you.
Do you think your D&D campaign will be in person or over Skype? It's going to be in person, is the goal.
Be playing in the selected scenario. These characters are submitted by you.
So I probably started casting in 2015, and then by 2016, I was making this. And it was really hard to find casting work. I ended up, after doing the Rocket League finals, I got a few more Rocket League things here and then I would take any work that the other casters didn't want. Like, I would just like be there all the time. I'd stay in the office all the time, and I'd just wait for one of the casters to be too tired to do like a stand-up. And anybody who says that they know me from the old MLG days, I basically would do like anything. Like, they'd be like, yo, we need somebody to like talk about cheese. And I'd be like, hey everybody, it's MLG Rich, and like, cheese is really cool. You got to make sure they eat cheese 4 times a day. It's going to make your farts smell different. Like, it was just like the dumbest stuff. I would take anything that I could, and I would take stuff that the other casters didn't want to take, and then I would get reps. Like, you need practice. So it's like this weird chicken and an egg thing where you need to be making work for yourself, right? So I ended up making this show too. And the main idea was like, how do we make a D&D campaign that people can jump in at any single time, know what we're doing in D&D, play D&D with us in some capacity, make characters, make scenarios, and that was how we made this. And we ran this for a little while. Did you ever meet Sundance? Yeah, Sundance like was my boss.
And a curse.
Yeah.
Tonight, I get to play a big baby.
Do you have any idea who's going to be the OTK?
Tonight, that's me.
The OTK DM? I think we're going to switch it up like we did here.
Submitted scenario that we spin on a wheel.
Dude, Nolan, thank you.
You play like
thank you for half a year.
Okay, so tonight's theme.
But yeah, so basically we did this, and MLG was super cool, and they actually let us use their studio. So we had a full studio that we actually used. And got comfortable in the studio, got better and better, and yeah, that was that. Like, that helped me get my agent, because then people were watching the stream, they saw that. My agent didn't get me work for a very long time, but then he ended up becoming one of my best friends, and he's helped me a whole bunch with getting the org off the ground and everything. And like, he ended up literally becoming one of my best friends and has helped me every single step of the way. But he signed me when I had like 200 followers, and he was just like, yo, one day you're gonna, like, I believe in you, which was crazy. Having people believe in me was huge. But I ended up getting, the first league I got was Smite. So I grinded Smite, I did a full Smite league, and then after that, World of Warcraft finally came. I cast a World of Warcraft. I begged and I begged and I begged. They let me cast, and they said, you get one series. You get one set. I have one set. Don't blow it. And it's a tri-cast. And I was in between Benruki and Vihel. And I felt like they hated me. I go off after the set, and I ask Olivia, who's in charge of the program, how are you doing? Or how did I do? And she goes, great. She was like, would you want to do a European show? And I go, yeah, when is it? And she goes, don't worry about it. You're on for another set. I casted the rest of the night, tri-cast. The next day I'm on a plane to Ukraine for the European show. I landed, got off the plane, and for 15 hours, 15-hour show, 5 commercial breaks, casted with Healing Stat. And that was when Healing Stat and I became friends. And at that moment, that was when I started to become a good caster. After that, I was on every single World of Warcraft show for 3 years, maybe 4. Same time, I was doing Call of Duty. Eventually, at one point, I started doing H1Z1 as well. When I was doing H1Z1, this is how, and also, I was doing Allcraft. So, Hadid came up with the idea of Allcraft after I started doing everything with WoW, and he was basically like, hey, do you want to do a podcast about World of Warcraft? And I said, hell yeah. And he was like, okay, it'll be you, me, and Sidhu. Sidhu was going to maybe do the show with us, and Sidhu ended up deciding he didn't want to do a podcast. So me and Hadid go, okay, we will end up doing the show, just me and Hadid, and we'll have a guest on. And our first guest for the podcast was a guy named Asmongold. Just some small 2K viewer streamer. And man, it was the first episode was so much fun. And at the very end of the episode, he goes, dude, what time next week, boys? He invited himself to be a co-host of the podcast. And he became my best friend. And to quote him, I believe you would say, there it is, dude. Becomes my best friend. We work on the podcast for years. And I end up popping off casting. His stream blows up. I remember the day he got his fucking sub button, man. Whew. Oh, man. This trip down memory road, man. And my casting started popping off. I started getting a lot of work. And I literally went, at one point, I was casting Call of Duty every Tuesday in Ohio. Then I would stream literally after I was done casting. I would stream for as long as I could. And I wouldn't sleep. I would stream for as long as I could, and then I would get early morning. I would get on the plane on Wednesday. And I would sleep on the plane. I'd wake up after I slept on the plane, and I would cast H1Z1. That was when I was casting H1Z1 for the H1Z1 League. Then I would get back on the plane, I would sleep, I would get off the plane, and on Thursday I would cast Call of Duty again. I would leave casting a half hour early. Benson would close the show for me. And then I would go and I would do Allcraft. And then after Allcraft, I would stream sometimes 24 hours if I could. Did you stream WoW? Yeah, I did stream WoW. Then every Friday, I would sleep after I was done streaming, and then Saturday and Sunday I would cast WoW. Monday I would go to New York and I would do my job. I would literally go Monday and I would do my actual job. I was still getting paid by MLG to do like the weekly videos and shit. And I basically would fly pretty much every day, yeah. And then after I recorded on Monday, I would fly back. Tuesday, I would start again. Then all of a sudden, I remember there was one night when I was in Texas. I was hosting South by Southwest with Alana Pierce, Charlana Zard. And Asmon goes, yo, dude, you in fucking Texas, dude? Let's get some fucking food. And Asmon, who didn't have a sub button yet, Asmon says, like, you're in Texas, let's grab dinner. Asmon meets me for dinner. And he goes, hey, I want you to meet my friend S-Fan. S-Fan had never streamed on Twitch. I thought his name was Esteban for half the night. Cloaksy was there, who I had been friends with for a long time. I casted over him in H1Z1. Soda Poppin was there, who was always super nice to me. But I was like, yo, Esteban, it's nice to meet you, man. Asmon didn't have a sub button. S-Fan didn't stream on Twitch yet. And on that night, S-Fan became one of my best friends. A year after that, Asmon was a 20K Andy. S-Fan was like a 2K, 3K Andy, something like that. And I was casting pretty much every esport. And now, flash forward 2 years later, dude, Cam, thank you again. Flash forward another few years, we own an esports team together. Half the time I'm streaming, I'm over 3K viewers, and I haven't even gotten to stream recently because I was getting ready for the org. S-Fan's like a 7K Andy. Asmon's a 60K Andy. Everybody who watched anything, anybody who was there any step of the way, thank you. Thank you.